maybe wasn't the case all along. You're very well known for your relationship with brands such as Loro Piana, but you started off by almost poking fun at the very customer that Loro Piana talks to. So how did you build your business? And if you don't, you must know Gstaad Guy. If you don't, follow him immediately. You will learn a lot about the industry. But how did you build your business? How did you get brands on side? What was that journey, building new media?
Thank you so much for the question and for the praise. I don't think I was part of building new media. I'm just a passenger on this train, but I appreciate the love. I started Gstaad Guy 7 years ago now, so it's actually been a few years. And when I started off, as you said, I was just trying to have fun and poke fun at this world, at the customer, which, as you all know, by hanging out here and hanging out at Sotheby's next door, it's often a customer that you can laugh with or even laugh at, because there's a lot of ridiculous things happening. And no one was really uncovering that on social media, so I decided to uncover that and turn up the dial of absurdity a little bit and talk about the ways that these people consume. And when I say these people, they are these high net worth individuals that we've referred to, which are usually a very small proportion of customers for a business, but about 5% of these high net worth 5% of a company's consumers, a luxury business's consumers that happen to be high net worth people, often drive over 50% of sales. So they by no means can be neglected or reduced to the number of people they are, because they're incredibly powerful and they're incredibly difficult to market to. They're hard to reach, and they're usually quite savvy on, okay, I'm being sold something here and it's not a genuine thing, so let me walk away. But something that never really feels like a sale or a pitch is humor. And I accidentally started marketing to this subset of people by poking fun at the ways they consume. And people who weren't fully relating to the content, but were about 80% there, would see a Gstaad Guy skit and think, oh my God, if I do this last 20%, then I'll be the guy he's referring to. Because if you're bullying up, no matter what you're saying, it's ultimately praise because it's up, right? So people actually want to be there, no matter how they get there.
Psychology.
Yeah. So Loro Piana is a great case study and a brand I love and work with deeply. And in my first couple of videos, I was talking about Loro Piana items, and I was talking about a gilet. And it was quickly selling out in their stores, and they noticed, and we started to talk. But I was the first creator that they worked with, and I think at the end of the day, business is like numbers, and if people can help a business and keep it authentic, of course, and be true to the business's values, the business will naturally test that out and grow in that direction. So I think that's ultimately why businesses have gone down this path of new media and influence and social media, because it converts quite well.
Yes.
This region in particular has that growing very quickly, because that 5% of these businesses, these ultra high net worth people, are being serviced really well here, both as consumers but also as operators and citizens. The management and the senior leadership in this region has made it very attractive to live here, for safety, for in the business environment, and also when it comes to consumption. So it's no surprise that the numbers are doing great compared to other markets. It may not be that many people at a top line, but I mean, just walk next door to Sotheby's, see how these people are spending. You'll understand why it's doing so well.
Yeah, no, you've done an amazing job of towing that fine line between having the brands on side and talking about their customer. But since nothing will get out of this room, tell us, what are some of the most ridiculous things you've seen from the customer?
I was going to ask him that.
Give us a few stories.
Give us something.
The most ridiculous thing I've seen from a customer? I mean, honestly, it's I think it's all quite ridiculous. I think the most ridiculous is probably not acknowledging the ridicule. I think when people just take the whole thing so seriously, and they really think that luxury is no longer a luxury but actually a necessity, that's when the whole thing is broken.
Yeah.
Thankfully, most people have some level of self-awareness and they understand, okay, I'm getting this nice thing and it's a trivial nice thing, so whatever.
Yeah. It's the nuance of the industry. It's big business, big employers, serious numbers, but it's also beautiful and nice, and you can't take it. We used to have with our teams a line, a T-shirt, if things got really serious and hairy, it's PR, not ER.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Well, you'll have to tell us more stories in a bit. Michael, coming back to you. An opportunity to tell us a little bit more about the Chalhoub Group, and speaking of partnerships, you've had a very long-standing partnership with the LVMH Group, among other groups and brands. And partnerships, as we said, in general is important, but maybe particularly in this market, relationships and partnerships. What do you think has been at the core of your success building these partnerships? And for maybe people in the room that are looking to enter into this market through partnerships, what are some of the lessons learned? How would you approach it? What are your sort of top tips?
Yeah, thanks a lot for asking. Firstly, I mean, because you were mentioning the LVMH Group, it brings me to the partnership that we have, which is a very strong one, but which actually started before the LVMH Group was formed, right? Because we've been partners to Louis Vuitton since 1982, and that's a few years before Louis Vuitton was part of that big group, and then. Afterwards, I know that, the trust was renewed to our group to go ahead and partner up for another 25 years, because those are how our partnerships are generally done. They're long-standing partnerships that are based on a lot of trust and, a lot of care and long-term vision. So, We're very lucky to have been, in such partnerships. But it's true that you always have to renew those partnerships and renew the added value that you bring to your partners, and renew partnerships with different brands, different customers. Yep. And so for us, it's really been about being a partner to the brands, being a partner to the customers. But not just, because at the end of the day, we were also partners with the mall developers in putting together a journey for a luxury customer that perhaps didn't have what she was looking for years ago. So it was hard to take example on other use cases that are both regional and luxury at the same time. Even when I look at this panel, we're a panel that are all partners in ways or another. So with Her Highness, we've partnered up on a variety of different events, but also we've helped with the Saudi 100 brands, because we have this incubator called the Fashion Lab that we launch, and that are looking at finding the 5 best entrepreneurs, fashion entrepreneurs, that are working from the region for the region. With Thomas, we've worked on a variety of his publications, but also a variety of his events. I think the last one of which was just 2 weeks ago, right? So, the reality is, in this market, more than anywhere, we need, partnerships to make things move forward. And I think
we've partnered.
Yes, we've partnered through time.
Now you need to partner with Gstaad Guy.
Yes, absolutely.
There's lots to be done there.
Absolutely, and I mean we've obviously partnered through brands that we've been representing in common. Yep. But at the end of the day, those partnerships are what is going to make a difference, and especially when you look at the public sector spending, and how the private sector needs to keep up with, what the public sector is putting in place. There needs to be a two-way conversation. And that's really, really important here more than anywhere. And so, thankfully, we've been here to listen to some of our biggest and best partners. We've been here to advise based on our, years and years and decades of history in this region, and give the tips and the feedback that, those brands and those, media partners and event partners were looking for. And I think that two-way conversation is what, brings us a little bit, differentiates us, I would say, from the rest of the world, because we can have that luxury of being close to the governments, being close to the developers, being close to the brands, and being close to the customers at the same time, while always keeping the customers at the heart of everything we do.
Yeah, no, it's a huge value add. It's no longer about just owning, operating stores. It's really all the rest of it, and actually we'll touch on this as well. But for instance, as luxury demand has moved towards experiences, you've had to deliver that change for your brand partner, and we'll talk about that, Princess Noura. But just briefly, Michael, on that experiences where spend is going towards that, how have you adapted for some of your partner brands?
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to what I was saying previously. Before, we used to have product brands, right? So the brands were selling incredible products that, were often selling like hotcakes, because also they didn't have, much competition. And today the competition is huge. And so the big difference is being made on the experience, the in-store experience, but also the out-of-store experience. Whether you're online or whether you're offline, whether you've bought from that brand or whether you've not bought from that brand. I think those experiences are what make the real difference. And our customers are more and more willing to spend for an experience and for a way of being treated than just for a product that could be, relatively copyable or easy to find.
It's not sufficient.
No, it's not sufficient anymore.
Princess Noura, you mentioned earlier you've now moved back into the private sector and your entrepreneurial background, and you've just announced that you've taken on the CEO role of JL in partnership with Jay Lindbergh and his daughter Blue. So tell us a little bit about the brand, the decision to base the brand in Riyadh, very much a strategic decision. And how do you see the brand as almost that manifestation? You've talked a lot in the past about sort of bridging cultures through fashion. Are you sort of playing that out in your brand?
That's a very good question. So for Johan, I mean, he moved to Saudi as of a year and a half ago, 2 years, and then we met, and he really wanted to bring his brand to Saudi and position it from Saudi to the world, so as a Saudi brand. He's done a collab with Adidas before, so the brand did have traction in the past, but now how to position it from Saudi, but also how to make sure that we are let's say, providing a good benchmark, let's say, or a case study for other Saudi brands, that in order to do a brand, there's the creative side and then there's the business side. You can't create a brand just by being a designer. You need to have the business side that would support the growth of that brand. So this is where we come in. He handles the creative side, and I mean, he's done it before with Diesel and his own brand, Jay Lindbergh, and then Black Denim from New York. And then now together we're doing the JL, and then just making sure that everything is moving to Saudi, repositioning the brand from Saudi. We have rebranded, we have redone everything, and we're excited for our launch, hopefully in Q1 of next year. And the purpose is to really create something unique and different from Saudi. Also, as I said, to provide a good case study and benchmark, but also to mentor, because for me, it's always been about mentoring. Yeah. I wanted to make sure that the creatives have an opportunity also to potentially work at the brand, maybe potentially learn from Johan and his team, and then get that experience where then they could, in let's say 5, 6, 7 years, do their own brands. And this is something that we've talked about before. You graduate from school, you've learned how to become a designer, you've taken all the skills, you have it as a talent, but then if you don't apply it and you don't practice it, how would you learn to grow your talent? You need to learn from people that have had experience in the past. So JL is a progressive luxury brand, and it's very much on the resort lifestyle wear. So it's something that you can wear from day to night. It starts with women, and then we gradually go into menswear. But it has a golf twist. But when I say golf twist, it doesn't mean that we're a sports brand. No, we're not a sports brand. We are a luxury brand that wants to make sure that people are comfortable also while they wear their pieces. And it's a lifestyle. And that's what we're trying to build. Community, experiences.
Yes, I was going to ask you, you were saying this morning about this community hub.
Exactly.
Approach,
and then also building a community. And how do you do that? You do that through the brand, but you also do that through, hospitality. So part of our strategy is to also have branded real estate so that our community can have a place. And that's where they would come and create and be together. And, that's how you target the Gen Zs and what is it? Gen Alpha.
And Gen Beta.
And Beta
So,
as well.
yes, exactly. So this is the purpose of the brand. It's a community brand more than anything.
Yeah. So you're really putting into practice. You sort of created the strategy, the schools, the ecosystem in a public, and now you're actually saying, well, all of this learning I'm putting into practice.
Exactly.
Hopefully we'll employ and create that ecosystem.
Exactly.
Which is exciting.
Exactly.
And just as a follow-on, I think, this is a topic unto itself, but just you mentioned that sustainability was an aspect of JL, and it's a tough topic in that there's a lot of talk about it. What do you see as your actual practical showing of that?
For me, sustainability has many fronts, right? Sustainability can be with the fabric you use, in how you produce, in how you do your business. So for JL, we believe in sustainability when it comes to our strategy. We do not have hundreds and hundreds of designs. Our strategy is item-based. We don't produce a lot. We're making sure that we're also very careful when it comes to production. We do low minimums. We're also have this strategy of item strategy, which means that we launch, for example, a certain item today, then maybe in a couple of weeks you have a different color that comes in it. But we're not overproducing, and this is very important to us because we're looking at this industry and we're seeing everything that's happening, and we want to make sure that our business implements that. And funny enough, I think we've also touched upon this before, but for me, when we say sustainability, we really act upon it. And I feel like we've also encountered a lot of people in the industry that say, we're all for sustainability. We use, we want a brand that has a different story, an unique story, and is focusing on sustainability. But then when it comes to apply it, they don't. They ask you, how many volumes are you producing? I just told you our strategy. So again, it's one thing to say something, it's another thing to apply it. So I just want to make sure that when we say sustainability, we really apply it, mean it across all your strategies.
And not an empty marketing promise.
Exactly.
Well, we look forward to seeing the brand in Q1. So everyone, JL. So I guess we've really talked about, luxury in the Middle East, but also how the Middle East is not just sort of taking the inputs from the global luxury market, but is actually redefining them and making them their own and really leading in many aspects, partly generationally, because such a young customer is here. So Thomas and then Gstaad Guy, both of you. Thomas, going to you briefly, you've recently hosted the Vogue Business Global Summit, the Middle East edition, and that is about highlighting local talent, local voices, local points of view, and putting them in context for the wider industry. Give us some color on that. Give us some stories, and as you referred to, this is why advertisers want to come. So what are they finding in those stories?
So I just want to start by thanking Michael and Chalhoub Group for supporting us with this. It's not about bringing Vogue Business Global Summit for the first time ever to the Middle East only. It's about, pushing authentic storytelling, because in today's world with our children, we have a lot of exposure on non-authentic content. So yes. I don't want to steer the conversation. But I believe that it's about time for the region to start, surfacing on a global level. We have an amazing culture, and each country on its own, it's 19 countries, the Middle East, is unique. There are a lot of talent, a lot of creative people, and it's our duty, all of us together, be it the regulators, the brand owners, the big companies and the publishers, to surface the local talent, not only on a regional level, but global level, support them with their stories, so the world knows about what they're doing, because the potential is massive. Maybe to give a bit of context here, or a bit of color narrative, we have pushed a lot of artists, filmmakers, designers, and what have you. If I want to name a few, I know that many going to be upset because I'm not naming them. But, Nadine Kanso, who is an amazing jewelry designer. Her brand is Bilarabi, which means in Arabic. You have Dima Ayad as a fashion designer. You have Mariam Yahya, who's Mrs. Kipa. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to provide the launch pad in terms of content and amplifying it globally.
Yep.
And it's resonating well with the young audience on a global level. So
yeah, the authenticity, and you all talked about that localization, which is so important in a world that becomes a bit samey with the algorithms. It's so important.
Right.
Gstaad Guy, what you've built is a media brand, and you've done it quickly in 7 years, and even in 7 years, there's been a big shift in the media landscape, but also, as we've talked, in the luxury landscape, and you've had to say a lot about this evolution of luxury. What, from your point of view, knowing that customer, that 5% or top 1% that shops, and then seeing how the brands are reacting, what do you think is at the core of this downturn, and what do you think the opportunity is? What do brands have to do differently based on your experience and what you're seeing? And they should listen.
Thanks. I think brands have to be more aware of how knowledgeable the consumer is, particularly the consumers spending lots on their goods. Yep. They care about what they're buying, and they're going to do the research anyway. So the knowledge is very important, and I think the brands may as well be part of that storytelling and should work with messengers of that knowledge to make sure that the consumer is fully aware of what's happening behind the scenes with their goods, because the consumer will figure it out regardless. Yeah. I think one thing that is was changing every year, and now it's every few months, it's people's attention spans, which makes it actually more difficult to be a part of that transfer of knowledge. I think people's attention spans half every year. Now we're at about somewhere between 5 and 10 seconds before people move on, even during a video they might enjoy. So I think that's going to be a challenge, but in moments where people actually have to opt into attention, we can see in this room, I think people are opting in and they're not scrolling to the next thing. So it's actually, there's hope there. I think people can opt into knowledge. I have that story for you, by the way.
Oh, go on.
I don't know if it's a story or if it's cautionary, but people decide for themselves. I think at these events, it's like the best way for me to get video inspiration. And I think it's totally fine to be like a walking business card, because like you have to do what you have to do. People are here raising money, doing what they're doing. So they shake hands and they say what they do. But something which is quite unique to this conference and to Next Door Sotheby's, they're not just walking business cards, they're also like walking Amex bills. They're like telling people what they're spending their money on, where their homes are, where their boats are, and I think that is unnecessary. That's my cautionary.
À la poubelle.
À la poubelle. I would say it's à la poubelle.
Amazing. Well, it's been such a pleasure. I've enjoyed this so much. Thomas, Gstaad Guy, Michael, Princess Noura, thank you so much for giving us your time, for sharing your experience, for being so complimentary in all of your different perspectives. Hopefully it's given the audience a sense of the luxury industry and how we are all very collaborative. So thank you so much.